Hey, welcome to Draft Academy. My name's Mike. In this tutorial, we're going to talk about adding content to your Gatsby files. So basically, we're just going to take that default index file that Gatsby gives us, and we're going to add in some different HTML elements, and we're going to talk about how you can start building your pages. So over here, I just have this basic Gatsby default layout, and inside the source folder in pages, we have this index.js file. And if you look over here on my website, I'm actually viewing this index file. So this index.js file is like the root directory. It's like the home page of our website. And you'll see in here that there's a bunch of React code. Actually, it's JavaScript, but it's using React. And so if this doesn't look super familiar to you, it's actually basically just using this framework called React.js. And you don't need to know too much about React to use Gatsby, but it does help to be like a little bit familiar with it. But for now, just know that like all this fancy code over here is JavaScript, and it's for this React framework. What you can see here is we have a bunch of stuff that looks like HTML, and it's very similar to HTML, and it works the same way. So we just have this div, and then inside of it, we have hello world. And what's cool is that by default, Gatsby is a hot reloading framework. So if I make a change over here to this div, it'll automatically get updated over here on our website. So I could say like, hello world, it's me. And when I save this page, it automatically gets updated. So without me having to refresh the browser, it will automatically save over here. So it kind of makes it really easy for you to develop your site. You know, it really makes the development cycle a lot quicker. You don't have to like go over and physically refresh the page. Every time, whenever you make a change, it's just automatically appearing over here. So that's just like a little thing that makes Gatsby pretty cool. In addition to having, like, for example, a div, we could also have other HTML elements. So I could put like a header in here, right? We could say like, here's a header, and then I could have maybe like a paragraph as well. And when that loads up, you'll see it loads up just like normal HTML. Now, one thing that you need to keep in mind when you're writing content inside of these files is you can't have two HTML elements that are at the same level. So if I was to come over here and create a paragraph, and I created this paragraph at the same level of this div. So these are like what are called sibling elements. When I save the page, you'll notice that I get an error, and that's because it says you have adjacent JSX elements. And so really, although this looks like we're writing in HTML, we're actually writing in a special JavaScript HTML like hybrid language called JSX. And it's basically like a way that you can write HTML inside of a JavaScript file, but one of the rules is that you can't have two sibling elements just like this. So everything has to be wrapped inside of like a single element. Like if I put this inside of this div, then this error should go away and it should just show up. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're writing content inside of something like this. And inside of this JSX, we can also make some styling. So I could like style this div. And the way that we would style this would be style and then equals, and then inside these double curly brackets, we can put some CSS. So I could say like color, and I could do a colon, and then I need to put this inside of quotation marks, but I could say like blue. And now this will change all of the text to blue, or I could change it to tomato, and it would change it to tomato. So you can use CSS sort of inline just like this. And if I wanted to add, for example, like another attribute here, so I could say like background color, we could set this equal to blue, and it'll set the background to blue. So you can add in different CSS stylings inside of these JSX elements, just very similar to how you would in HTML. If you're familiar with CSS, then you'll notice that this is a little bit different, but the same concepts apply. Another thing we could do would be link to an image. So I could say like IMG, and I just have this image of this cute cat because we're on the internet. So I'll paste this in here, and then we can just close off this image tag, and now this image should show up in our website. So yeah, there's the image of the cat. It's like way too big, but you can see that it shows up nonetheless. So that's kind of like the basics of, you know, adding in content into these JavaScript files, and you can see that it's actually pretty easy. And it's very similar to just writing normal HTML. And so if you're not familiar with JSX and how that works and how it kind of is used in React, then you might want to look that up. But for the most part, you know, as long as you're just writing normal HTML, you're pretty much safe, and it's probably going to work like 90% of the time. But yeah, so that's kind of the basics of adding content to these files. And any of these JS files that we store over here in this pages folder, you can basically do this with. So you can just put all your sort of HTML text and HTML tags over here, and it'll just display on the website normally. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to Draft Academy to be the first to know when we release new content. Also, we're always looking to improve, so if you have any constructive criticism or questions or anything, leave a comment below. Finally, if you're enjoying Draft Academy and you want to help us grow, head over to draftacademy.com/contribute and invest in our future.